Welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got breaking news coming out from the UK to share with you. So, over the last 24 hours, we've been talking about US President Joe Biden giving Ukraine permission to strike targets inside Russian territory using long range ATACMS ballistic missiles. We also reported to you guys this morning that Ukraine, for the first time, struck the Bryansk region of Russia, striking the 67th GRAU arsenal, and that thing going up in flames and exploding for hours after it was hit. So we talked about that. And just today, we had a huge report breaking now from the UK that they will soon provide Ukraine with Storm Shadow missiles to hit Russia. Now, yesterday, I let you guys know that we did not have official confirmation coming out from the UK or France directly, stating that they would allow Ukraine to strike inside of Russia using Storm Shadow missiles or Scalp EG, whichever one you want to call it. But now we have that report coming out today that it looks like the UK is going to give Ukraine permission to use the Storm Shadow missile to strike inside of Russia. Now, this is very big news because this will give Ukraine greater strike capabilities. They'll be able to strike much further into Russian territory, as I think these Storm Shadow missiles have a range of about 560 kilometers. So I want to talk some more about this today. I also have a couple things to show you on X and also a map to show you just how deep Ukraine will be able to strike inside of Russian territory very soon once this permission is given. So I'm going to show you this from The Guardian. This just coming out today. UK expected to give Ukraine Storm Shadow missiles to strike inside Russia. Move follows US President Joe Biden's agreement to supply similar American long-range ATACMS weapon. So now again, yesterday we were kind of hearing that Ukraine was given permission by the UK, also France, that they could strike inside of Russia using the Storm Shadow or Scalp EG missiles. But then we heard that there was a French news outlet that was removing the text stating that they were giving permission for Ukraine. So kind of backwalking or backtracking this statement of saying that Ukraine could use the Storm Shadow or Scalp EG missiles inside of Russia. Well, now we have this official report today that it looks like the UK is going to give them the permission and the missiles to do so. So it says here Britain is expected to supply Storm Shadow missiles for use by Ukraine on targets inside Russia, now that the US President Joe Biden has agreed to do the same for the similar American long-range ATACMS weapon. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, said at the G20 summit that the UK recognized its need to double down on its support for Ukraine. While diplomatic sources briefed, they expected other European countries to follow the US's lead. The Prime Minister said that while he was not going to get into operational details, he recognized the need to do more to help Ukraine, whose electricity network was seriously damaged by a wave of Russian bombing on Sunday. I've been really clear for a long time now. We need to double down. We need to make sure Ukraine has what is necessary for as long as necessary because we cannot allow Putin to win this war, the Prime Minister said. Russia, however, accused the West of escalation and said that Biden risked adding fuel to the fire in Ukraine. And while Donald Trump remained silent on the issue, his son Don Jr. accused the military-industrial complex of wanting to get World War III going. Storm Shadow missiles have a range of about 250 kilometers or 155 miles, similar to U.S. ATACMS, and have in the past been given to Kiev by the UK and France to strike targets inside Ukraine's internationally recognized borders. Now, this information talks about Keir Starmer basically saying they need to step up support for Ukraine and give them what they need to win, as obviously, yes, on Sunday, there was also a huge report that Ukraine came under a massive missile attack. I think it was over 200 missiles and drones in total that were fired onto Ukraine. Their electricity grid was definitely hammered very hard, and it's already very bad inside of Ukraine in terms of electricity. We already know that 80% of their electrical equipment inside of Ukraine, their substations and everything, just completely destroyed for the most part. And these recent strikes are going to make it even more difficult for Ukraine to survive through the winter. And what happens if Ukraine doesn't have any energy? Okay, they could obviously collapse and have a huge humanitarian crisis in their country. So that could be Russia's plan for right now, is to destroy the electricity grid inside of Ukraine. That's kind of what Keir Starmer was talking about. So we'll hop over to X now. I got a couple things to show you here real quick as well from BBC News World. Russia's nuclear rhetoric won't dent UK support for Ukraine, according to the Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Now, this was an article that was created as well. We won't go over this, but essentially, it doesn't seem that Keir Starmer appears to be afraid of Russia's nuclear rhetoric. They have been coming out a lot recently and stating they will use nuclear weapons, even updating their nuclear doctrine, stating if they are attacked by a non-nuclear state, which would be Ukraine, and then, for example, with missiles supplied from the U.S., which is a nuclear state as well, that if a non-nuclear state and a nuclear state were to attack Russia, they would consider it a joint attack from both nations, and they could deploy nuclear weapons not only on Ukraine, but, for example, also the United States, as we had ATACMS missiles going into Russia today. Now, we have not seen a response as of yet, but definitely, could Russia respond with nuclear weapons in the future? It definitely could be possible, but clearly Keir Starmer does not appear to be worried about this. I did see him talking about that in an interview recently, and also continue to say they will step up support for Ukraine, and they don't appear to be worried about Russia's nuclear warnings. Okay, also from WebSage, what could possibly go wrong? The significance of the ranges of the American and European missiles that have now been approved for use by Ukraine. The red squares mark Russian military bases. Storm Shadow missiles allow Ukraine to attack Moscow. So I wanted to pull this up for you guys so you can see. I have shown a couple maps like this in the past, but these show the different ranges of the different weapons capabilities, missiles that Ukraine currently has. Okay, we've got HIMARS here, this kind of dotted black line where HIMARS can strike a little bit inside of Russia, obviously inside the eastern portion of Ukraine as well. Then we have ATACMS range, 300 kilometers, that can go a little bit deeper. Then we have the AGM-158 JASSM air launch cruise missiles also with a higher range that can go beyond ATACMS. Okay, we have not had approval for the JASSM missiles just yet. But Storm Shadow, take a look at this, okay? It can definitely go the deepest out of all the missiles that Ukraine has been given so far. And I'm pretty sure Ukraine already has Storm Shadow missiles. I don't know if they depleted their supply. Maybe that's why the UK is coming out saying they're expected to give more over to Ukraine soon. I'm not sure if they've used them all up or anything like that. But as far as we know, Ukraine already has Storm Shadow missiles. We're basically just waiting for permission to be given for Ukraine to use these. Now, understand, if they get permission for the Storm Shadow, look at how deep they'll be able to strike inside of Russian territory. Definitely will open up a lot of new targets of Russian military bases, and then also a key point inside of Russia could potentially be Moscow. Now, Moscow does have a lot of air defenses over there, but it is a densely populated city, and the most densely populated in Russia for the most part. Most of the Russian citizens live on the western side of the country, okay? So things could definitely get wildly out of control, especially if we start having Storm Shadow missiles striking inside of Moscow. Now, again, the big question here is, will Russia ever respond with nuclear weapons? Time will have to tell, but definitely it looks like things are definitely escalating over here, and NATO is ready to escalate this war even further and allow Ukraine to strike targets inside of Russia, not only with ATACMS, but very soon looks like we will soon see Storm Shadow flying into Russia as well. So just wanted to give you that quick update, as yesterday we did not have this information, but it looks like very soon Ukraine will have the ability and permission to use Storm Shadow inside Russia. So let me know what you think down below. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.